So then he gonna holler across the wine bar. Y'all, my wife not insecure. She not insecure. Oh, that's what it, oh, that cut everybody at the table deep. Even Anthony was like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. And I was like, oh, I know you ain't piping up, Anthony. Oh, now you want to be on Kristina's side. So, hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandon Yvonne channel. Y'all already know I'm Brandon Yvonne. Here at my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows, y'all. This video, we are talking Owns, Love and Marriage Detroit. How to remember not to say Huntsville. This is season 1, episode 3, Don't Rock the Boat. Y'all, this episode was a lot, so I'm gonna need y'all to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, because this video, this episode right here, it was a lot. It was emotionally draining. It was triggering. It was a mess. So we're going to get into it right now. So this episode picks up basically where they left off with Anthony calling Kristina's friend Chelsea a bird and a little girl. And I'm still bothered by the fact that nobody corrected him. None of the men said, hey, that's inappropriate. Dr. Latoya, his wife, did not correct him. Now, when they had that car scene, that scene when they were leaving at the end of the event, I'm wondering in that conversation, was she kind of correcting him as well? Maybe we didn't see the whole conversation. I don't know. I hope at some point he was corrected for his comments, because he was so out of line, and it was giving very much sassy, and I hate to call our men sassy who are not intentionally being sassy, if you know what I mean. But he was giving sassy. I have to say it. He was giving sassy. It's very inappropriate. Like, how dare you? Like, Anthony, who are you talking to? Who are you really talking to? So anyway, so then Kristina was like, what? Like, she is just asking a question. Like, she's trying to figure out, like, what is the big deal? Like, Brandon was just in the club. He don't need to be in the club. So then Bravo gonna pipe up, and then this is when I did not like Bravo anymore, because y'all know I liked him last episode, but I don't like him no more, because he was like, oh, he's just being passionate because, you know, we trying to do business moves, we trying to help Brandon make these business moves, like, you know, can he come to the, okay, how about this, can he come to the club with me next week and we just gonna talk business, that's it. And so Kristina was like, what? Like, y'all just went to the club? Like, And I'm just like, oh, look at his friends got to ask for permission. Can Brandon come out and play with us, please? Like, y'all need to stop. How old are y'all? So Kristina was like, you know, whatever, like, all y'all ganging up on me, it's fine. And so Brandon was like, the thing is like, all three of us guys at this table, like, their two careers is like a sprint. Me, I'm on like a jog, because I gotta be hesitant, because I gotta always ask for my wife's approval. Like, you know, she got these shackles on my feet. He's like, he gonna take the shackles off his feet so he can dance, okay? He just wants to praise him. So she was like, what? Like, I don't have shackles on you. Like, I'm not stopping you from doing anything. Like, I don't understand, like, what you're talking about. I'm not stopping you from doing anything. And so Anthony's like, it's just business moves, sis. It's just, we just trying to get, you know, we just trying to help him. We've known him for so long. We just trying to help him with his business. So Bravo, his comments, confessional goes say that, you know, I know that Kristina is worried about Brandon going to the club, but, you know, he has to go to the club for this business, and we're going to have this showcase, and that's what's going to happen. I'm like, oh, really? Is it? So Kristina, meanwhile, Chelsea just drinking her wine. Chelsea's like, let me get out of it. So then Brandon and Kristina get into this like heated argument. It was very cringy and difficult. Really, it was a mess. So she's like, you know, I have not held you back in your career. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, you have not been supportive of me. I cannot make the moves I want to make and grow in my career because I gotta always stop and ask my mom for permission. Like, it's too much. And so she's like, what are you talking about? You're not in a relationship with your mom, you're in a relationship with me. Like, you don't have to ask for permission. I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't want you in the club. You don't need to be in the club. And so he was like, she was like, you already have an artist, so what are you talking about? He's like, well, if I don't have my wife's full support of my career, you're not supportive, so I can't make the moves I want to make because you are not a supportive person. And so he's like, I know it's all about your image, you know, you just care about your image, you want to make sure no one thinks you're insecure. So then he gonna holler across the wine bar, y'all, my wife not insecure, she not insecure. Oh, that's what that cut everybody at the table deep. Even Anthony was like, come on, bro. And I was like, oh, I know you ain't piping up, Anthony. Oh, now you want to be on Kristina's side. So I think the men kind of were finally woke the hell up and realized, like, okay, Brandon's doing too much, and y'all was all doing too much, and y'all all owe this lady an apology and her friend. And Dr. Latoya for ruining her event, and the black lady who owned the wine bar. Y'all need to apologize to her and all the people at the table. All the people at the table, by the way, y'all was just staring. Like, they got a show. They got wine and a show tonight, okay? So, like I said, Kristina and Brandon was arguing back and forth, y'all. It was getting heated. She was like, what are you talking about support? And then she broke down in tears, y'all. She said, what about me? What about my career? What about me? I was doing fashions. What about my sewing? What about my blog? All my this and that. I stayed home 7 years. I didn't do no sewing. I didn't do no fashion. I didn't do no blogging. I didn't do nothing to raise your 2 kids. What about me? You are not supporting me. What about me staying home, not being on my stuff? You have not supported me. So I was like, ooh, girl. She was like 11 years. She sacrificed. Okay, she not gonna cry, but she did cry. So anyway, they was just going off, and so she was like, you know what? I'm done with this. If y'all want to give up on me and blame me for his career, I'm done with this. So she stood up. Dr. Latoya, she had her head down the whole time, like, child. They embarrassed me down to the wine event. Then she finally was like, nah, Kristina, sit down. Like, girl, we got you. And even Anthony was like, no, like, it's not your fault. We're not trying to gang up on you. We're trying to, be on his team. She was like, no, you want to do this and that. And then she's telling Brandon, like, me and you are supposed to be a team. And you over here doing all this. And he was like, no, you don't want to support me. And you were just worried about his kids. And then they was just getting back and forth. And then finally, Dr. Latoya went over there to console Kristina, and Anthony and Bravo got up and got Brandon up. Was like, come on, dog, like let's drink some water. And I guess Brandon had too much wine, which I didn't realize till the third time I watched the scene. And they were like, let's get you some water, man. Like, let's cool down. Like, come on. And so then he was like, man, I'm just tired of it. Like, it's always like, every time it's something with me, it's my fault in the marriage. It's always my fault. It's my fault. And like, I'm tired. I'm not just immune to the tears now. I don't even care because, every time it's something with me, it's always a pity party. And she always want to do this and da-da-da. So then she was like, she hollered at him across the bar as he talking to him. It is your fault. And I am not insecure. I can have any man in here I want to. I am not insecure. And then his confession was like, oh, she want to say that? Like, okay, because I work around the ladies. Like, you want to go there with it. I'm like, oh Lord, y'all need to get off this show. Y'all about to pimp y'all marriage all the way to divorce. Like, I get it. If Brandon is really trying to make a name for himself, maybe that's another reason they got on this show. But oh no. This is a mess. This is not of the kingdom of the glory of God right here. This is not. We're gonna need Russell to counsel them in a minute. So anyway, y'all, they was hollering and screaming at each other across the bar, and they got Brandon out of there. Okay, so then later on we see, I guess as they cooled down, Kristina and Brandon were walking out. Kristina had holding her heels, walking in her slide, so they looked like they were just walking to wherever their penthouse was. I'm guessing it's all in the same area. And so Brandon was like, yeah, I didn't mean for that to happen in there. Kristina was like, yeah, we cannot be doing that. Like, that is not okay. And so Brandon was just basically, they kind of rehashed the same stuff they already talked about, y'all, about her supporting him and all that stuff. And she was saying, like, he was like, well, why did you say that about you could get another guy? Like, do that what you want to do? And she's like, no, I'm just saying, like, I can't have any man out here I want to. And then he was like, well, that's what an insecure person would say. Like, she said, oh, so you think I'm insecure? And he was like, yeah, that's what insecure people say. So she was like, fine, whatever. And them two have a lot of passion between them. I don't want to see them break up, but they do need to get together. Then he was like, are you going to support me in my career? Are you going to support me in my career? She's like, why do you keep asking me that? Like, I am supporting you. And he was like, no, you not. Like, you not doing all this. You're not doing all that. And she was like, I feel like you blaming me every time your career is not on the up. Every time things are not going your way, you want to make me the scapegoat and blame me. And he definitely does that. And he was like, and she's like, you have your little entourage now, so you think, you can do all this and come at me and have your boys come at me and we and you supposed to be a team. And he was like, when I come home, you're not even supportive. She's like, 11 o'clock at night, like, what you want me to do? Jump on your back and say what? Like, what do you want me to do? It's 11 o'clock at night. And so he was like, well, yeah, you could be more supportive, all that. She was like, he said you could be more exciting. She was like, you're not even exciting. You don't give me excitement. You're not giving that to me, so how you expect me to get that to you? Touche. So then he was like, do you even want to be with me? Like, why are you even with me? Do you even want to be with me? And she was like, what do you mean? Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be with you. He was like, do you just want the dead marriage, or do you really want to be with me? Now, when he said that, I was getting a vibe of he's trying to kind of push her away. Like he wants her, almost like he wants her to end things with him. He don't want to be the bad guy, end things first. Like he wants her to end things with him. That's the vibe I was getting. And when a man is like that, girl, cut him loose. Cut him loose. Because like, Kristina, you deserve better. And I'm gonna have to hold Kristina a little bit accountable too. Like, granted, he has cheated emotionally. He must have done more though. For them to be this heated about this situation, and for her to feel the way she does about him going to the club to even do business, if that's what he's really doing. Like, I feel like he must have done more, and he must have had more offenses in the past. Okay. Also, like, if we moved on past this emotional affair, then we need to leave that in the past and move forward. Like, either we move it forward or we not. Like, yeah, them two need to love it or leave it alone, because y'all just keep recycling the same BS. We're not moving forward. Brandon don't need to hold Kristina hostage about his career. That's on him. And say, oh, well, she not approving of things, so that's why I can't do things. Like, no, they need to, It was too much. So anyway, he ended up talking about he gonna take a walk, and he never came back. She went up to the penthouse, okay? So then we see Dr. Latoya sitting in her car, and Anthony was like, man, I pray, I forgot the lady's name, the owner of the wine bar is not, too upset with us. And she was like, yeah, we're going to have some discussions. We definitely going to have to apologize to them and apologize to some other people who were there. Like, that was not okay. Like, that should not be happening. Like, she's like, I was very disappointed. I was very embarrassed. Like, that is not okay. And so Anthony was like, man, like, I'm also, main thing, I'm worried about Brandon and Kristina. Like, they are at a crucial point right now. Like, we need to be supporting them because, their marriage is at a breaking point. Like, we kind of can relate to that. And he was like, it's just like with you, like, he needs to support his wife. Like, just with you, like, I supported your business. Like, when you wanted to start this wine company, I put up the money for you to start the company. And then she was like, y'all, they're doing fireworks. 4th of July is over. Anyway, did y'all hear that sound? She was like, well, no, we both put up the money. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, it came from most of my money, like my company. That's how you put the money. So in the confessional, he was like, I put up most of the money. She was like, we put the money together. She was like, okay, don't do that. She was like, okay, thank you. Like, goodbye. And I'm like, Anthony very much gives, he wants to assert dominance because his wife is a doctor. And she technically has the bigger job. But if your company doing so good that you could put up the money, like, what's the big deal? Also, Anthony, you gonna get on my nerves for a whole different reason now. Not even the whole little sassy comments. It's the whole, like, once you see Brandon is going off the deep and then you all of a sudden is better husband than him. Because the way he's like, yeah, he needs to support his wife. Like, I supported you. It's very much giving DJ Quicksilver from Love and Marriage DC, where, he just act like he was better than Jamie. Like, that's what Anthony is giving. And I don't like it because, Anthony, you were dead wrong the way you addressed Chelsea and the way you have addressed Kristina. So you ain't no better than Brandon. Like, don't do that. I don't like Anthony. Now, I really wanted to like Anthony, but he making it difficult. So anyway, she was like, yeah, we don't need to be, she was like, we don't need to be getting involved in a mess. Anthony's like, it's Detroit, so it's going to be this and that. She's like, no, I don't care. It's the time and the place. Thank you. It's the time and the place. She was like, we should not be up there fussing and fighting. Like, that was not okay. And she's like, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's none of our business. We need to let them talk that out and it be between them. So I think that's where she kind of was correcting Anthony. And I hope she did that in a more direct way that we did not see. So anyway, moving along. we see Kolby at her house, and she's making a nice little breakfast for her parents. And her dad is a pastor, so her parents came over. And they played with the baby. The baby is cute. I think what is that baby? I forgot the baby's name, y'all. Anyway, is it Jelani or something like that? Anywho, her parents look good, by the way. I don't know how old Kolby is or her parents are, but her parents look very good. So anyway, she wanted to talk to her parents about the whole Russell going to divinity school thing, and Russell took the baby, and they were having like a daddy date. I thought Russell should have been there for the conversation personally. And Russell knew the conversation was happening. He said, Kolby wanted to talk to her dad because of the whole thing with him, wanting to go to divinity school to be a chaplain. So anyway, she brings it up to her parents over the brunch or breakfast. And so she was like, so, Russell signed up for divinity school. So the dad was like, oh, did he? And then she was like, you knew that. And so then he was like, okay, well, I didn't know if you knew. I didn't, Russell was kind of talking me to confidence. So now that I know like, what do you think? And then she was like, yeah, it was really hard because he didn't tell me. Like, he's already been in school for 3 weeks. My issue is that he didn't tell me what happened, like that he was going to do it. And so he was like, yeah, he came to talk to me about it. He said, he had the calling and that's what it was. And so she was like, yeah, but I'm his wife. Like, he should be coming to me to talk to me about this important decision first, y'all. First, excuse me. So anyway, not y'all, I was going to say something else. Anyway, so the mama was like, oh, when they get these, messages from God, they have to act on them, and they may not talk to you first, they may not talk to us first because, she didn't went through all this already. And she's like, because their relationship here is, most important. So Kolby's like, I get what my mom is saying. Like, of course your relationship with God comes first, but I'm still his wife. And so this conversation was good. However, I feel like the parents could have understood Kolby's side a little bit, but I like the way they kind of worked through it with her at the same time. It's very interesting. This whole episode was actually very interesting. So side note, I like how everyone talked about the role of God in their life in this episode. That was really interesting too. So anyway, then, she was like, I don't like the fact that he, is basically, she don't like that he didn't talk it over with her. So the pastor was like, the dad was like, okay, do you not like that he's doing it, or the fact that he didn't talk it over with you first? And so she was like, it's just, really hard. And I saw, what you guys went through, like, already, like, Russell's plate is thin. He says yes to so many things. And then I feel like me and the baby are on the back burner, and we get like the sloppy seconds. And I seen the things that you and mom went through, and I don't want to go, through those things. And me and him have had these talks before. And Russell's the type of guy, I guess, he will make these decisions. He was going to do whatever he wants to do, and he's been doing that since they got together. So I'm like, Kolby, girl, you already knew what your man was going to be doing. So, but, I understand her concerns, of course. And so the pastor was like, okay, so what would you have said if he came to you and asked you and told you? And so she was like, I would have been against that. I would have been like, no. So then the dad was like, see, you're not even ready to have a conversation. And so she was like, yeah, but, it was just, even though he's the man and he's the head of the household, I get that. But still, like, he needs to consult me with these things. And so the dad basically told her at the end, like, I understand how you feel. Like, he should have came to you first. He probably didn't know how, because that's a major decision. Like, if it was a quick, easy decision, he would have came to you first. So imagine how he feels coming to you, knowing that you are, pastor's kid and what you went through, like that, it's hard for him to come to you first. And so he's telling her, like, basically consider his feelings, and then he will consider your feelings. I hope that happened, Dad, but we will see. Kolby felt like, they were taking Russell's side, and it wasn't giving that. So anyway, moving on along, we have Anthony is at his place of business. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically a studio. It must be like a TV and a music studio. I'm not quite sure. I would like to hear more about the details of his business. But they're getting ready for some kind of power photo shoot, I believe they said. And so he was just kind of telling them what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, blah, blah. So then he go back there to call Brandon on FaceTime. and see how everything was since the big blow up. So Brandon said he ain't even seen his wife since that night. He walked and stayed at the old house. He didn't come home that night. He said he'd been on DNB, do not disturb. I'm like, really? He said he don't know what that was in that wine, but it had him wilding out, toe up. So Brandon was like, man, like the longer this fester, like the worse it's gonna be. Like she might leave you. Like you need to fix this. You need to talk to your wife. You need to support your wife. And so Brandon's just like, man, I'm just cool off of everybody right now. I'm not really trying to talk to nobody right now. Like, I'm just tired of this. Like, every time I'm trying to do something, it's not working out. You know, he's just singing the blues. And so Anthony shares with him the situation with him and Dr. Latoya and the whole Atlanta thing, and how he tried to make the move to Atlanta without his wife's blessing, and it didn't go well, and he had to come back and all that. And so that actually helped Brandon to feel better that, you know, Anthony could relate, and he went through something similar, and he said that actually put a smile on his face and made him feel better. Okay, so we still didn't see him talk to his wife this episode, but I think they're gonna have counseling next episode, look like in the previews. So then we get to let's get to Kristina and Chelsea. So Chelsea goes to Kristina to get, I guess, a dress or something. So, because Kristina was like, oh, Brandon didn't come back home. I'm about to get back in my sewing bag and my fashion bag. She said fashion is really important to her because, you know, she grew up in the church home. Grew up in a family that was in the church. And so it's all about dressing to impress. And she's really been into fashion, especially vintage fashion. I love some of her fashion choices, that leather she had on the confessional. So I'm definitely interested to see all of her looks. I would love to see if she had like a website or whatever blog to follow. I do want to find that out. If y'all know it, put it in the comments, because I definitely want to see it, because I like the fashions of it all too. So anyway, so I guess she's gonna make a dress for Chelsea. Chelsea has some brunch event. Chelsea says she want to show off the titties a little bit. So she's also, you want to stick to what you normally do. So then Chelsea asked her, like, girl, what's going on since that night? So she told her how Brandon didn't come back home, and how, you know, they got to really work through things, and she fights for their marriage. She feels like he doesn't fight for her, but she really fights for her. Like, she feels like they haven't done everything they can do, and she doesn't want her kids to, you know, end up in a divorce home. She grew up with both her parents in the house, so she wants her kids to experience what she did. She also said, like, if he is gonna, like, push her away or not, like, she can't fight for him to stay. Like, if he wants to leave, she has to let him go. And she might have to do that. The way he acted, she might need to let him go. She might need to, like, separate from him. I don't know. We're gonna have to pray for Kristina and Brandon, y'all. So anyway, then we get to Dr. Latoya and Anthony. They are going, like, on a nice date. And they said that they try to do this, like, at least once a month to have time for them, but outside of the kids. So they like the spot that they're in. And so they're just talking about the, you know, work things they have coming up. And Anthony said he is going to have to go back to Atlanta pretty soon coming up. And he was like, just to let you know, I know how that is. You know, topic is for you. So Dr. Latoya was like, you don't have to do that. Like, I'm not, like, basically, like, we are working through the Atlanta stuff. She's like, I'm not feeling the way I was about it before. Like, she's like, so stop doing that. It's getting on my nerves. So she basically, like, he ain't got to brace her for the whole Atlanta talk anymore, is what she's saying. So anywho, they were talking about the whole Atlanta situation, and they kind of broke it down what the real issue was, and this did help us as viewers kind of understand it more, what her issue was, because she basically said that it was really hard with him being off in Atlanta because the kids were going through a lot of racial situations, being called out their name because of the color of their skin, and it was hard for her to deal with that as the mom by herself. Like, she didn't know how to deal with that, and she broke down in tears, and she told him, like, I needed you there, I needed your help to explain to them because they're young men and I don't want nothing to happen to them. Like, we are raising two kings, like, we got to be there for them. I thought they had a daughter too, but anyway, and he was like, of course, like, nothing's gonna happen to the kids. And he was like, I feel like, you know, the same results would have happened, like, if I would have stayed in Atlanta. Like, I was there, I was helping you, you act like I wasn't there. And she's like, I'm not saying you weren't there. And he was like, I was coming home. And she was like, you bought a house there, like, it seemed like you was gone, like, you were moving there, and you didn't really discuss it, you just kind of decided. And so Anthony feels like if the roles were reversed, then like if it was something Dr. Latoya would have done, then it would have been totally fine. And so he was like, but when it comes to me, like I don't get the same support and I just want the same support, but then I can't complain because I'm the man. And so she's like, well, no, you can't say that. Like, that's not fair. I kind of see his point too, but I'm guessing the way he did it, which we're going to talk about later, is what the issue was. And like she said, season and timing, which she touches on later. So we're going to get more into this Atlanta story. So anyway, but I do understand like Dr. Latoya's point about like dealing with the kids and all that, because I believe they said it was around the C-19 time, which means it was also around the George Floyd time, which was a lot of heightened racial tension. So I get it. She definitely needed her husband there to explain to these young black boys how to deal with those situations, because she's a black woman. It's, even though they're all black, it's different. So I totally get her point on that. And she was a doctor, and she a doctor, like, nah, you need to be at home. No. You ain't just gonna move to Atlanta, sir. So then the next thing we get to, Kolby and Russell go to like this rope trampoline place, and you know, they're athletic, so they like to do stuff like this. And so Russell sits her down and said, you know, I wanted to bring you here because I know we've been going through a lot with the whole thing with me going to divinity school and just, you know, to kind of push our limits and all this. This is like a metaphor for our marriage. He already pastoring, y'all. Look at him. So then he said, you know, he kind of did apologize for not telling her ahead of time about going into divinity school and all that. And she was like, okay, like, you just gonna be a chaplain, right? Not a pastor, because he kept kind of using the terms interchangeably. He's like, oh no, just gonna be a chaplain. And so she's like, okay, I can deal with that. Like, you know, that's less hours, less demands, that's fine. But, you know, she's like, you're not trying to be a pastor though, right? And he was like, no, not right now, but, you know, I don't know what God's gonna lead me to do. And, you know, if God give me that call, I gotta do it, you know. He's like, but I will try to, you know, make sure I tell you and inform you of these things. And so he said it was disappointing that she wasn't that supportive of his decision, and she was like, I can't be nobody pastor wife. But you know, I don't blame her. If she grew up as a pastor's kid, like, of course she's not gonna want to be in that lifestyle. And you know, they're like under a magnifying glass, preacher's kids and preacher's wife. So, and a preacher. So I understand her viewpoint. Hopefully they can, you know, work it out. Maybe he'll just be a chaplain and that's it. Who knows? But you know, he got a calling from God. He's got a calling from God, I guess. So anyway, y'all, let's get to the last scene where we have Dr. Latoya and Anthony are going on the boat on the Detroit River. Anthony's like, what up, though? I guess that's what they say in Detroit. So they're meeting up with, I believe their names was Tim and Tracy Watson. Tim used to be the coach for the Detroit Lions. They haven't been there in like 10 years. So they're like coming back to visit. They're like their kids' godparents. They're really close with this couple. And so it seems like the couple kind of mentors them as well. So they, I'm trying not to sneeze, y'all. So they get on the boat with them. And so they're like, you know, saying how much Detroit has gotten better and has grown, and how Anthony's parents and grandparents used to say how beautiful Detroit was, and he never got to see it till now. Like a lot of the, he was sharing either in this scene or earlier scene that a lot of black people are creating businesses in Detroit, and he's loving what he's seeing there. So shout out to Detroit. So, you know, Tim was like, oh yeah, so they doing all this. Okay. So, Dr. Latoya, that she got to the whole topic of Atlanta, she was like, oh yeah, but he was trying to move down to Atlanta and make roots. And she's like, yeah, did he tell y'all about Atlanta? So then Tim was like, yeah, he told me. She's like, yeah, he was trying to run away from home. Tim was like, he wasn't running away from home. He was just, you know, doing business, trying to create new opportunities. The men be sticking beside each other on this show, don't they? So he was like, you know, he's just trying to make business moves and all that. And so they talked about how, like, the grandpas and the dads moved from the South up north to create opportunities. And Dr. Latoya is like, that is not the same. So Anthony is saying that, like, you know, he's explaining again how he went to Atlanta to work with Marvel and Disney to do movie and TV studios because he doesn't have the opportunity in Detroit, of course. And so he was like, you know, I wanted to make those moves and up, you know, my career. And I wasn't supported in that. He was like, even my in-laws were coming against me and my parents. And the thing that hurt him the most is that they were saying that his ear from God was off, like he wasn't hearing from God correctly. And so I was like, well, God talking to everybody in Detroit, ain't he? So then Dr. Toya was like, I believe you heard from God, but I think the timing in the season was off. And she was like, and he said even her dad, the bishop, so I guess she must have been the preacher's kid also, was saying like, you know, this is confusion. God is not a God of confusion, which he is not. And so it was creating confusion. Like he said, you know, I was trying to come back and forth and I did not move down there. She was like, you basically did though. He was like, I told you though. She was like, you barely talked about it with me. You didn't express it enough to me before you did it. And that was the issue. And so Dr. Latoya shared that, you know, they dealt with it. They went to counseling once a week about it. And now it's like once a month. And they've agreed to disagree, as Anthony shared. So Tracy was like, okay, but that's all well and good. But, you know, he may still feel some type of way. Like, and you don't want resentment to build up, you know, well, how do you feel about it, Anthony? And so Anthony was like, yeah, it still sucks because I, you know, was really doing good out there. This is something I really wanted to do to blow up my company and bring, you know, the businesses back to Detroit and be able to do bigger things in Detroit and provide, lead his family and all that good stuff. And so he was like, man, I just wanted to feel support. Like, it just sucked. It just felt like everybody was coming against me, you know, about it. And Dr. Toya said it got to the point where they didn't know if they were going to get divorced or not because he said Dr. Latoya basically was like, I'll stay in here with the kids and you need to come back home or not. Like, basically kind of gave him an ultimatum. And so it kind of gotten really that bad with that situation. So, that's crazy. So he was like, man, I just wanted to feel supported. I just feel like it was my time and it was my thing to do. Y'all, next thing we know, he started crying and going off about it. He was like, I just needed support. I just wanted to feel supported. I just wanted everybody to come around me. Like, I need my parents. I need my in-laws. I need everybody to support me for a change. It's my time. It's my time. And so she's like, well, that's what I needed to hear from you. And I guess maybe he probably didn't go in depth. It sounds like he didn't talk about it enough and get her on board enough before he decided to do it, is what it sounded like. And then it's at the time of 2020 when the world went crazy, when we didn't know what was happening and who was gonna make it or not. So I get both sides of it and him wanting the support and all that. And maybe next time he go to Atlanta, he can get the support. I don't know. But it said to be continued. Y'all let me know what y'all thought of the episode. I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was very heated. It's very intense. It was a lot. It was emotionally draining. Carlos, next week, I'm going to need us to not have the arguments. I'm going to need some fun next week or something. But y'all let me know what y'all thought of Love and Marriage Detroit. And what you think of the season so far. Y'all rocking with it or y'all not? Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. Also, if you're a Love and Marriage Huntsville fan, check out the video for that. I just uploaded that about an hour or so ago. And if you're Ready to Love fan, y'all know they down in Dallas. Check out my video for that. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.